I photographed Bruce Springsteen for Time Magazine. It was right after 9/11, not long after, and he came out with his album, The Rising. And the idea was to do a cover portrait of him, and we had to photograph him in his home in New Jersey. I just wanted something very, very tight and intense and focused of him. He's really just, I think, sitting on a little stool, right? So he's kind of here. That would be his head. And he's kind of sitting on the stool with his kind of arms crossed, and he's just sitting there with his legs crossed. That's sort of how legs are crossed. I'm kind of right in front of him, and I'll draw it off to the side slightly, but I'm actually working with a ring light, the Profoto ring, on the camera, and that's giving pretty much an invisible fill. I actually personally don't use the ring light as a main light very often. I really like it as a fill because it's just light from everywhere and nowhere. Like, you don't actually perceive it as another light source, and it's usually like around 2 stops down. It's kind of like guaranteed looks okay. It's happy on film, it's happy on digital, it's just kind of there, right? Doesn't create another shadow, doesn't read as another source. And then he had, right, I believe off to this side, right around head height, a beauty dish, right? Really pretty close. I believe it had the grid on it, right? And it probably had a warm gel, like a half CTO warm gel on it. So that's really here. And then behind him, there were 2 more heads that had grids, pretty tight grids. And those are really skimming the side of his face to give these highlights. And again, in some situations, I might use the strip lights because that's like painting an edge on somebody. It's very smooth. By using the grid spots, and they're really coming from the back, from the sides, right? They're going to cast like a really hard little piece of light, a hard little highlight on the side of his face that's pretty specular. Those are coming from the side. And in a sense, with the exception of the beauty dish, but I believe even that was a silver beauty dish, so it is quite specular. You get a lot of skin texture, right? We're not shooting a fashion model where it's all supposed to be creamy and smooth. It's Bruce. So these are hard lights, right? The beauty dish is a little broader source, but it's a silver dish, so it's kind of like a hard source. And certainly the ring is from the front. It fills in the shadows, but it's a hard source. So you get a lot of skin texture, and it's kind of like a very snappy, present, honest, no BS, in your face picture of him.